Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to QuickBooks Labs. We're here on the actual time we're supposed to be going live, which is always a good thing to see for consistency. And we are the only QuickBooks related podcast in the universe. Therefore, we are number one. I like to claim ourselves as. As always, we try and go live around about the first week of each month, at which point we hang around these microphones, talk all about the world of QuickBooks Online. And boy, do we have some stuff to talk about. Today is just myself and Johann. Johann, how's it going your end? Did you enjoying the world of QuickBooks lately?
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, always enjoying life in QuickBooks. I'd like to be enjoying life in QuickBooks in my new office, but the rain's caused a delay. But yeah, no, it's been an interesting month in QuickBooks. There's been lots of little things. I know we're going to talk about a lot of the big things, but I'm seeing a lot of little UI or user interface for the less jargony ones of us out there, tweaks and improvements. Even from just that, I don't know if you've seen like the onboarding wizard, as it were, the setup wizard. There's been a few little tweaks there which have been quite modernizing, we say.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? And that's what we need. We just needed that new lick of paint here and there, isn't it? That's what we've been given. See these little enhancements and gives us something to talk about on the pod as well. So it's always good. So
that's the key.
Yeah, exactly right. So we've got a cracker in store for you today, but let's figure out how it all works. First of all, we are live to the world at our regular time of 4:30 UK time. So if you're listening back at a later time, why not think about coming to see us live? And that way you can ask questions, tell us how things are going, keep us in the loop, make sure that we've not missed anything, and gives us an opportunity to answer all your burning questions as well. And don't forget, we are live on the podcast services around the globe, so feel free to subscribe to your podcast service of your choice. Our agenda today, though, is to go through all of these little updates that have happened, some not so little, some quite little completely. And then if we've got time at the very end, we've got a few worldwide updates that we thought would be great to push in and some ecosystem updates as well. So let's start ourselves off on a somber note. Unfortunately, it is the end of one of the greatest updates that was within QuickBooks Online. And unfortunately, QuickBooks Labs is no more. That's right, QuickBooks Labs, that little area in your top right-hand corner of the settings page has now gone. So the little area where we got all those fantastic little updates that we could try first before everyone else is no more. So Johann, have you got any fond memories of QuickBooks Labs itself? I mean, it created a cracking little podcast, some might say, but the functionality of not being able to go in there and turn on some features before everyone else, some beta features. Are you sad to see it go, or do you think it never was ever kind of lived up to its hype?
I think it could have been a lot more than it was. Don't get me wrong. I used to go in there weekly and have a look. Is there anything new in here? Because it was that's their soft launch area, wasn't it? It was like, well, just hide it in QuickBooks Labs, and the more aware people check that, and they'll go, oh, that's new. And you know, I still remember fondly. I couldn't tell you which feature it was, but there was a feature that was in there, and I beat you to the punch on that. And it's like, oh, I got there first. I tested this before Aaron, the QuickBooks chap, got his hands on it. But yeah, I do feel over the last year and a half, it's been a bit, stuff could have been soft launched into there that wasn't. So yeah, it probably makes sense to get rid of it. I think it was quite a nice gimmicky idea. But yeah, it better utilized than great. It would have been a fantastic way to do things. But when did you ever hear anyone at QuickBooks talk about QuickBooks Labs or go to an event and they go, oh, you know, keep your eye on the QuickBooks Labs area for new features coming out that we're soft launching? You know, maybe that's where QuickBooks Advanced ought to have gone.
Oh, ouch.
But, you know, no, it's a shame. I think they had something there that others didn't, but maybe it was just too gimmicky. It certainly wasn't used enough for what it could have been. So
I mean, I would say the final item that got on there, which was dark mode to light mode and themes, I think it was the actual feature you could turn on, was kind of meh. But there've been some brilliant stuff that's been put in there. The problem is that it then found it really difficult to go and get that information over to it, right? Like you turn or you put a new feature within QuickBooks Labs that's already going to have a barrier entry for a vast majority of the users out there, and then for the people who are using it, it was sometimes a bit buggy and not a bit problematic maybe. Again, I mean, the biggest item that was in there for the longest of time was the ability to be able to customize your invoices, and people who knew about it really loved that feature. And yes, it was a bit of a tricky interface and it was a bit kind of buggy here and buggy there, but there were certain people who, to this day, if you've got a license that used to have that feature, it's actually quite a valuable license because there are certain features or certain functionality you can't do without that. So yeah, and right at the very beginning of QuickBooks Labs, there was the opportunity to do chart of accounts that you could import and export around your accountancy firm. Little things like that I thought was brilliant, like innovation, brilliant ideas. But because not enough people are using them, the whole minimal viable product comes into play, and it just made more sense that they just can it instead of bringing it into life. Whereas maybe if it had launched as a full-fledged feature, more people have seen it, more people have used it, and we still have those features. So it's a shame. Do you think they should bring anything like that back again, or do you think they should just be in cloud-based and just add features like we've seen them do lately and hope for the best?
I think there is a place for beta testing and release candidate testing. Like I do that with Apple. Like I'm on their developer testing thing because we've got an app for Client Engager, and I've enjoyed having that early access and playing with things. And I accept there's a risk of bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
But the software enthusiasts out there that use QuickBooks, I think they'd appreciate being on like a release candidate beta testing kind of list that you can just sign up for yourself. And maybe your ability to stay on that list is based on how much time and feedback you give on testing new features, because I do feel like a lot of people get given beta access and actually they're not testing things at all. So yeah, I think it has its place. As you were saying, like, light dark mode, did that need to go into QuickBooks Labs? I don't think so. To be honest with you, up until a few days ago, I always scoffed at light dark mode unless it was native in my phone. Like it never looked good on anything. But I turned it on SIF Analytics the other day just to see what it looks like. That's a very sexy UI. Like I live in dark mode now on SIF Analytics. I've gone to the dark side of reporting. But yeah, like a lot of the stuff in there was a bit gimmicky. But as you say, those custom invoices, they were like, people loved that. I never really needed it. But if that was released mainstream instead of into QuickBooks Labs, maybe it would still be there. So maybe going into QuickBooks Labs is the problem. If they've got rid of QuickBooks Labs now, where's light dark mode? Is that gone?
Oh, it's there. It's out. Yeah, it's called themes now, and it's sat there for all to see. But I think the only problem we have with the current implementation of, and they're not really betas, they're more of a, let's do a soft launch. They call it, aren't they, where 20% of the user base will have access and 20% won't. 80% won't. That's all well and good, but then when you're someone like you and me, where we're trying to try these features out, see if they're going to be useful for our clients or not, and give our feedback and understand what the impact's going to be for the rest of our practice, etc., then we have to play, license roulette. And yes, we're privileged enough to have multiple licenses to jump through, but it's not exactly the funnest time to just go through either creating brand new licenses and hope that comes a good one for that. For me, is for a video I was trying to do about the new landlord chart of accounts. So I created 25 licenses and gave up because I know, but I couldn't get this whole landlord to work. So
you would have thought logically, wouldn't you, that QuickBooks would go, right, these are our users on the beta testing, soft launching, whatever we're calling it.
Yep.
These are licenses that they've got access to, so we'll enable it into these licenses. Or if you're a beta tester, you get access to a beta testing license where they will release, they've got that list of license numbers, and they will always release the stuff to there first and then notify us that it's there for us to go and test and play with in a sandbox environment.
Exactly, because for the way that would work for us would be quite useful, right? Because we would, sure, you got the same, you got a license that you just play around with all the time. It's just a dead license that you have just to mess around with, and you would happily put that against as one of the beta testing. But your bigger client, you probably don't want that one to go on the beta testing. Your practice probably doesn't want to be on the beta testing because of the risk that comes. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts, doesn't it? But I just wish that QuickBooks Labs in some form was still there, just so that curiosity of, oh, what are they working on? Because it's almost like a roadmap as well, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, they're playing around with this. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Let's have a test with that one. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not no more. And yeah, we are saddened to see the end of QuickBooks Labs, I think.
But it's not the end of this podcast.
No, no matter what the rumors may go out there and say. The disadvantage, though, of QuickBooks Labs, good segue into the next update that we want to talk about, was that this actual update took a long time to come to the whole of QuickBooks and the whole of the license out there. So much so that when I went to train someone in person a couple of weeks back, I was showing them this brand new feature that's, here, there, and would solve all their issues for them. And they were still on the old one, and they were very upset about, they may have said that maybe I've got some sort of special privileges or something, but no, it wasn't. It was just the luck of the draw and coming through from there. And that is all about our brand new section for our sales area, and our customers have had a whole new revamp and new functionality. And I think, personally, I think it's for the better. So let's quickly just go through what's been updated. So first of all, we've got a slight different view here. It's kind of a little bit more of a cleaner view, in my opinion, you go through there. But if I was to jump in a customer, we get lots of new kind of features and updates here. And it's all around the actual way that we get to look at our list mode just here. Now we have the option of being able to go through and do more of a filtering system up here, so we can go just find our invoices, for example, and that will just show you what invoices there, including going in and looking at what our statuses are going to be. And it just makes this view work a lot better for people. One of the criticisms of the old view was that most of the time, to really get the most out of this, you'd have to use the export button just here, export it to Excel, play around with Excel, try and get the features you want, and to go from there. We have a few more batch action options as well now when you go through compared to what you had before. And overall, we just got a little bit of a better use of the actual space that's here. I feel like we've got more functionality. Now, what really excites me, and unfortunately it's not what I was expecting, but there is now an option to view the recurring template. Now, that just, well, it does actually, in fairness, says templates. So that just takes you to the shortcut to go there. But how amazing would it have been if that actually showed you the recurring templates related to this particular customer? But that's not how it works. Yeah, and what do you think to this update before we go and look at the other updates in here? What, happy, sad?
No, I'm loving this. I saw a bit of an irate user who hadn't worked out that the list on the left was collapsible. So for that, the list's gone. That's the best part. It's gone. It's not there. It's like, yeah, okay, collapsible menu. Never mind. I've got a huge amount of appreciation that they've got rid of that bloody pencil and put the word edit. I don't know why, but I hated that. For some reason, I just hated that pencil icon. Like, I don't know why. I've got no rhyme or reason for it. But I think there used to be the edit word there. And then they made a few adjustments and put a pencil there. And then all of a sudden, when you press that pencil, it kind of, I don't know, it upset me, and I don't really know why. But it's there now, and that's all good. So yeah, like I like the fact that I can go in and edit my customer details a lot easier from here than we could. I like the balances. So yeah, no, overall, I am happy with this upgrade.
And functionality wise, it is better, especially if your role within an organization was just looking after this area, right?
Yep.
If you were debt manager or debt controller, or whatever your role is, this is so much easier to work with than you had before. And you
Filters
get
are always a good thing.
exactly, and you get better statuses now, showing you how that's actually going. Because even veteran users, we can sometimes look at this and get a bit confused of what was open, what wasn't, what invoice was outstanding, what wasn't, and you kind of had to, most of the time, again, go to Excel, excuse me, to get a good update for it. There is options now as well to customize what's at the top here. So I can put more options in here than we've ever had before, including the balance options there as well, which the balance one was one of those ones that was just ludicrous why it wasn't there originally. But now we can have the balance there. We can see what's going. We've got the option to kind of go in and same as before. I've heard a little rumor they're looking into the option to move these around as well. That's kind of one of the next steps coming in. I think that'll be a nice one, so that we can go through and thingy this or make sure that this is working as intended. As you already said, on the left hand side there is the option to go in and open and close it. Also, remember now there is this recent button as well, and that's caught a few people out. You need to untick that one to make sure that the list has everything in there, although there we are, to making sure that you've got that list there so you can go down and find the had before. But apart from that, same functionality, other than the fact you can't do it by number anymore. So you used to have the option, just thinking about it, of being able to put this by the highest on top or the lowest on top, which was actually a really useful one when you're going through debt management. So yeah, they've taken that away from us, but apart from that, it's all looking quite similar. There is a few other kind of updates as well. You've now got this handy little statement button here, so you can go back and look at historical statements that have been done. Could be useful to try and understand why clients or customers are a bit confused about what's going on or something. You can kind of go through that history with them. And the statement itself is looking a little different as well. So if I quickly goes into it, it's a bit more interactive now, so I can click on invoices and see it from there, although this isn't the same view that the customer's going to get. So yeah, there's still a worthy update in my end. What do you think then? And any other features you shout out about this new update, or what do you think?
No, I mean, I think my only other thing would be what I would love it to display on the list of invoices that we're on, where it's now got the nice new edit button, is whether it's being collected by Go Cardless or not. And if it's not, to just go collect by Go Cardless, if it's got the facility, if that customer's signed up, just to save me having to click in, wait for the pop-up and then go in and click on it, etc.
Well, it's through batches, isn't it? You could click on them, and if you are connected, there is an option there to collect by Go Cardless, isn't there? Turned on.
There is, but they may already be scheduled to be collected.
Yeah.
So instead of me, I would just like some kind of column there that's saying it's Go Cardless is collecting this, so I know it's dealt with.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout. Yeah. And the other bit that is a little bit new here is the fact that, yeah, I suppose it is. I was about to say the recurring template and go from there, but that is just I still think that was a missed opportunity. I feel like maybe recurring template should be up here somewhere. Click on there and you can see
just templates for that one client. But how many different templates do most, like, I think to all of my clients, we've got one template. Is it worth a whole dashboard for one?
True, but it is like, even if it was just that button that went to that exact one, that'd just be so much more useful, right? Like that whole idea that you can just quickly go in and update it instead of having to search for it and then hope that someone's named it appropriately, which in my firm, that's definitely a sackable offence if they don't name it accordingly. That's because that does cause many issue from time to time. But yeah, apart from that, everything else is pretty much the same. I just
how are they having issues with naming it? I mean, if you skip that template name bit and put in the client name, it auto populates with the client's name. Like, How was that an issue?
Yeah, but you've obviously not met some of my previous employees. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So, well, one thing I have noticed about this is, why is it now credit memo? Any idea why they've called it credit memo now instead of?
That seems a bit American, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do we think
It's
that's
still
just a fraudulent slip of the tongue, where they've brought it over from the US and they've not quite adjusted it to suit?
Maybe that's what it is, because credit note's still there, but under here we now have credit memo, which is,
I think it's just a slight oversight by the UI people.
slap on the wrist. That's -1 for that. They were about to get a 10 out of 10 for
Screenshot
it.
and sent it in.
Let's do the feedback live on air. Last time I did that, I got told off. So we'll moving swiftly on.
What's a credit memo?
Yeah. Okay, but no, I think this is a nice little feature. I know people who are already out there seeing the benefits of it, which is good to see. Speaking of new features that are good to see, and this one definitely came left field, because we were under the impression that this area was not going to be touched for a very long time. That's what we got told. But if we go to the receipt section and jump into receipt and say that I need to edit one, I now have the opportunity finally to split my bill. And especially when, there's times like this where accountants might be looking into the bills of their OCR technology and seeing, what options are out there. Getting a nice little update like this. Good timing on that one, don't you think? I mean, there's still room for improvement, don't get me wrong, but split bill is a step in the right direction. What do you think?
You know what? Considering what's happening in the accounting world for document processing at this moment in time, and my 58% bill increase that I've now been informed about, or 50% if I don't want all the KPI measuring stuff.
It's better than 60% that you first feared.
It's
right?
better than the 60 to 62% that I first expected it to be. Yeah, I mean that 2%'s really given me some good sleep tonight. I'm not worried about that. If QuickBooks had the auto publish rule and just some slightly better OCR technology to read these documents, then yeah, I would have happily used just QuickBooks. But they don't. Don't get me wrong, it's better than however many clicks you decided it was to get into Xero with a document, but it's still not there for the 5,535 bleeding documents that we've put through in the last 30 days in our current solution. The QuickBooks system just can't handle it. It's not got enough automation behind it at the moment, but split bill is a good step in the right direction.
Definitely. And again, the surprise is that we were under the impression that there was going to be no updates to this, because we asked, we pleaded, we begged, and we were told, unfortunately, no, there wasn't going to be any. But no, does that mean that it's being looked at? Does that mean that we should be expecting more to come? Because I've heard that the split bill functionality was quite a UK focused push, because it's, in America they don't really need to have split bills. There's not really that many different VAT codes they need to worry about. Well, they don't have to worry about VAT codes, they on expenses. But for us, we needed the split bill was really important to us, right? Like we need to be able to split between the different VAT codes, etc. And yes, there was workarounds, and yes, you could have gone through there, but this is definitely gonna work well. And like you said, all we really need is like the next stopgap. It's just bringing that rules functionality. If we could have that rules functionality within receipts, that's the bit where we could actually go and start.
I'm interested. All of a sudden, I'm very interested. All of a sudden, although I'd say that OCR needs to be more accurate and better at reading documents before they can do the rules. But yeah, once that rules bit's there, I'm interested.
I always find that, like, based on like single one, I mean, the fact it was able to read this is a miracle. This is I bring this up all the time. Like this I mean, it must have read this receipt 6,508 times.
That's why I can read it, because it's done it once.
So
it's that one again.
If it's the same guy who's been typing it in each time, and well done, you get yourself a pay rise. But no, like
the QuickBooks chaps testing us again.
But then, I mean, you look at this receipt, it's got this horrible red line down it. You've got this date that kind of goes over 2 lines. The tax thing kind of flows over here and then kind of again over 2 lines, but it still manages to pick it out. Like the fundamental of it is there. It's not accurate enough. I completely agree with you, but it's still impressing me that it can do this. And I've used this exact receipt on other solutions, maybe ones that you may be alluding to before, and it wasn't able to pick up this. It just rejected it. So it's not
Is it
perfect.
more of a criticism of the Yosushi receipt printing capabilities that they've made such a mess of this, and they've had to put that they can't even work out? Oh, that doesn't look great. Shall we not split the £9.73 bit at the bottom? Shall we make sure there's enough space for all the date characters? Yeah. No, I think it's on its way. It just, yeah. I mean, that's a lovely receipt compared to some of the stuff my my tech guy. So I've got George, who's my head of technology now. I gave him a task to go and test some document capturing software.
Yeah.
And he's really put a bloody thing to the test. Like, he's put in faded statements. He's put in all sorts. He's literally scrawn with his left hand a handwritten receipt, screwed it up, unscrewed it, and taken a photo, and it did it. Like, it nailed it. And it's like, that's impressive. But yeah, just if we can get rules, then maybe it's almost there.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Don't forget, this is interactive and live. So hello to the people who are chatting in the chat. We've got Lucy there. Hello, Lucy. How are you doing? We've got a LinkedIn user saying miss customized invoice templates. Clients want to include ISO quality logos, etc. on their invoicing for compliance requirement. Exactly right. The thing that upset us about the customized invoice templates was they have teased a new invoice template solution. It's just never arrived. So
question
why
for
they
you
could have left it for a little bit longer, I don't know.
Do we not also, so on one hand we're complaining that we don't have customized templates anymore, but do we not also complain about all the different variations of invoices and stuff that we see, and we campaign constantly saying we should standardize invoices so that everyone's got the same layout? Well, if we do that, then you can't use your invoice to advertise what you have and haven't got qualification-wise, etc. So we need to decide which side of the line of the fence we're on. Like, personally, I don't see an invoice as an advertising billboard. It needs to be clean, factual, to the point, and ideally everyone has the same layout. So it's really easy for us and for OCR technology to go line, sub, VAT, done. Like, clean and easy. Whereas you see some all weird and wonderful layouts. Like, if anything, the fact that Xero, QuickBooks and stuff have less options has probably been a bit of a godsend for standardization.
True. And it is so easy to spot, isn't it? When as soon as you get an invoice through from one or the other, you're like, oh, that's a Xero. Like, they use Xero then, or they use QuickBooks, or
you messaged me the other day. Oh, so use Xero. It's like, yeah, we're not all perfect.
Exactly. Okay, so I think they're the two bigger updates that have come over the last couple of days. There's still plenty more to talk about, but let's go with an update that I would love to find your opinion on, which is get the desktop app. So
I saw your little video on this today.
Oh, did you? You've seen it, have you? Okay.
I thought this got turned off. There was always a desktop app available, wasn't there, for Mac? I remember there being one available to download for Mac, and I always had performance issues with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a great experience to use it in any way. Like, that's
You're selling it to
Aaron. But the idea of it being there for a power user, and again, if you, from a Steam Deck point of view, actually could be quite powerful. Like, we've talked on this podcast before about Quick Tool, Tool Quick, or whatever it's called. You know,
Right
the
tool.
Right Tool. That's it. And that has an appeal for power users, right? And this could be an opportunity to kind of bring that in. But yeah, it's I've got a feeling there's a reason that QuickBooks themselves aren't shouting on the rooftops about it. So what's your thoughts on it then?
Start
It's
doing the
now
BBC's job of fact checking you, aren't I? I'm gonna have to do a counter video to every single one of your videos going fact checked.
I mean, it does give you a desktop view, so you can make it feel like you're in your QuickBooks desktop environment.
Or radical idea, modernize and get over it.
Ouch.
Move on, people.
So
yeah,
I mean, first of all, I suppose, do you see a use for it?
not if it's got performance issues.
I mean, it's still loading.
Performance issues. Like, I'm sorry, but a website's quicker than this.
Yeah. We'll get there, though. We're going to get there. Nope. We're going to get there. We're into QuickBooks. Yeah. Okay. Now we've got into QuickBooks. This is where the power of it's going to... This is where you'll be impressed by...
If this is the power, someone needs to replace the hamster.
I mean, it could be because we're sharing screen as well. So there is that side of it as well. But
is it running off Lizzie's Lizzie's internet?
Exactly. But this is it. This is your QuickBooks app compared to this one on the desktop. So, I mean, there's use cases for it, right? Power users we've spoke about.
Not if it's that slow. Like, I'm a power user. I want to crack on.
But I can also switch to desktop view and get my desktop view like this, you know, and customization options where I can put my own versions of what I want to call it down the bottom. You know, this is where you've got income tracker and expense tracker and snapshot.
Get over it. Move on. I would not be good at it as a counsellor, would I? Get over it. Move on. No.
It's a complete no from you, is it?
Your primary argument here is power user, Stream Deck, shortcuts. None of that makes any difference if it takes forever to load everything. Like, what you have to be using shortcuts to compensate for the lag.
Yeah.
So you're no more efficient than you are on a Chrome or Safari browser.
So I'm going to go and generate an invoice in here. And then I'll do it in
Why is
here.
it opening the account settings?
Oh, I don't know. So this one's already generated the invoice. I'll do it later.
I think I've just sank your power user argument. You got any others?
I mean, you can have multiple clients open at the same time. Or you can go to incognito window.
I was going to say, or you could have an incognito window. You know. Well, I did wonder when you said multiple tabs. It's like, I can do multiple tabs now. We've got the tools for the windows. But okay, yeah. No.
It's not working for you, is it? No. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, what this could be useful for is for someone maybe with you're on the train, right? It doesn't do this, but if it did, you're on the train, patchy internet, going in and out, in and out. If this could kind of cache the work you were doing, and then it will just keep updating and resyncing back to one another, would that sway you? If
what you're saying is we need desktop software. You still think the internet life is a bit of a fad, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying on the times where the internet's not 100% there and 100%.
The only time the internet's not 100% there on the train is when you're on the west coast of England.
Yeah. Well,
not an issue on the east coast. When I'm doing Edinburgh to London, internet is never an issue, to be fair.
Never an issue. I'll hold you to that one day.
West coast, I can't even make a phone call.
So our next podcast is going to be you live from
on the east coast. As long as I can do it in first class on LNER, I don't mind.
Seems like a business expense. Why not? But if they gave you that functionality, would that sway you?
I don't. This sounds terrible for the QuickBooks. I don't go into QuickBooks very often to do anything. Like I've always got it on the monitor, but I don't. That's my team do that bit. I don't really go in, so it's very rare I have to go in and do anything. So when I do, I want it to be bloody quick and easy.
Yeah.
That lag time's too slow. Like, and this is so like you and I do podcasts every week. We've got multiple business interests. The only way you and I can cope with what we are doing and all the plates we're spinning is to be ultra efficient with everything.
Yeah, true.
And if you're adding 5 to 10 seconds on opening an invoice page so I can write out an invoice, that's 5 to 10 seconds I could have been doing something else. That's 5 to 10 seconds of walking the dog. It's 5 to 10 seconds of spending quality time with your loved ones. I'll get the desktop app.
So unfortunately, now that it's come to the Mac, hasn't sold it for you. Should have stayed on Windows, basically.
I don't really know why they created it. It is literally, sorry, we destroyed your world. Here's a token towards, like, to encourage you into. No.
Remember what you used to have. It's slow.
Remember what you used to have a bit of salt. Rub it into that.
Maybe they've purposely made it slow and clunky to remind them of the desktop experience.
It was that horrific. You're going to be grateful for the internet when we get it. Yeah,
no, you're not won by it. So,
It's a shame because I was really looking forward to being more positive about the updates this time. Because last month I moaned about everything. I wasn't happy. I wasn't impressed. First half an hour of this episode, I've done all right here. I've been quite positive. That's great. This looks great. Little tweak here, and that'd be amazing. And then you brought this pile of garbage to me. And it's like, no. Just get on with it. Move on. Accept it.
One of the things that does remind me, though, at one point I remember seeing that the QuickBooks Advance, this was going to be an advance only feature. This was going to be one of the benefits to move into QuickBooks. That would have won for you over. Yeah. Moving swiftly on. Quick update just to let people know. I thought this was a nice update. I actually think I might have missed this one. I think this has been in for a while. I've just not brought it up. If I press new and I go to, it's not coming up on this one. Okay, so it is a new thing then. How can I get this to be shown? So what happens, instead of seeing the old way that we've got there, they've now got a little bit of a different one where you get to choose when do you want to start tracking your finances.
I saw this.
Yeah. So
I saw this in a couple of things when I was doing some new ones. I quite like that.
Yeah. And I think this more info on opening balance is actually a really good idea because people get confused of what's happening. Like, is this magic? What's going to happen to the other entry? All it does is it posts it to retained earnings, but or opening balance equity. But the fact it's now telling you that and letting you choose the date and letting you put that figure in is actually quite a nice little update, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I did like this one. I saw this last week or so. I was setting up some new chart of accounts for a client. So it's actually I quite like that.
Makes sense, right? It's a simple but really effective change. Now, why they're making this change when we're still waiting for our new chart of account experience, I don't know. They don't just give us our new chart of account experience.
I had to go into Xero the other day and put in some new chart of accounts. I'm sat there trying to guess which numbers haven't been used. It's like, I don't have this issue here. I just go, it's a current asset. It's this. Or I was putting in some new sales chart of accounts. Like they wanted to break it down between classes, subscriptions, whatever it was. I'm sat there going to Xero. Oh my God, I don't know what bloody numbers have been used and which ones haven't. And then you realise you've put in, to just get around it quickly, you've put an extra digit on to the three numbers. And now they're right down there on a bleeding chart of accounts. Oh my God. Oh,
Not a fan then. Is that
no,
does that mean safe to say that you don't go around turning on the QuickBooks numbers as well?
do I?
You're not a fan of that. So
It's too 1980s for me. These, like, we used to have numbers and codes in my old job, and I could sit there and give you a 5-digit number.
I know what it meant.
I knew exactly where it was getting coded. And then, because we had 2 digits, two numbers, 2 letters. And that would be the department and company like location. And then we had a 5-digit code, which would be the account number. And it's like, so that's the centre down in London, going to the activity department, and that's their travel and sub account. It's like, it was when I realised I'd started memorising that kind of stuff. I thought I need to move on. I don't need to be memorising numbers and stuff. I've got more important things to memorise than this.
The only thing that I'd say about this new update that could be a benefit and could be a nice little bit for us to get excited about is I think this is the last bit of functionality we need for the new experience, because that whole choosing your date and everything is part of the new chart account experience. So is this the precursor to the new experience? Possibly.
Yep, potentially.
Let's hope so. We have one more little update and then a look into the future. So a little update is that on the latest QuickBooks Pro Advisor Presents, they let the cat out of the bag that QuickBooks Self-Employed is going to be receiving a tool to move to QuickBooks Simple Start or Essentials, and should be available by the end of August. So we've got a month to go.
I mean, it's nice that we now know we can talk about this, because we thought we were under embargo.
Talk about all of it. I think we should only talk about the fact that there's a.
Oh no, we're not going to talk about all of it. We're just going to talk about this bit, because, as far as I was aware, this was under strict non-disclosure agreement. Until they blurted it out there, and I saw everyone talking about it on Facebook. It's like, how do you all know about this? I thought this was on pain of death. It's something you and I have been asking for a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Self-employed is fine in its own right for the right clients, but the moment they need a balance sheet or something, and COVID was the real proving ground of this, wasn't it? That suddenly people that had simple accounting all of a sudden didn't have simple accounting because they were suddenly having loans that they couldn't deal with in self-employed. So we needed that migration tool, really. So I'm really pleased that this is coming.
Yeah, it can going to make that upgrade cycle so much better, isn't it? It's one we're going to have to test, though. In my mind, I can't quite, because we do a lot of migration from QuickBooks Self-Employed to QuickBooks Online, and it is just a one journal hope for the best in some circumstances, because that's all you can do, unfortunately. So it'll be interesting to see if they just bring in one journal, or if they're going to bring the transactions in, and how that's going to work. It'll be good to see. It kind of, if you're going to get a mystic mega ball out, what does that mean for the future of QuickBooks Self-Employed? We can't really say anything at this point in time, but it
not
does
at risk of being right.
Yeah, exactly. But it does seem that they're definitely thinking, or QuickBooks Self-Employed is in the conversations of QuickBooks. That's for all to see, isn't it? So, okay, that's that's one less.
They've always been quite clear it's not going anywhere. Like, they've spent a lot of time investing in getting it ready for MTD ITSA, which obviously is not here yet. But like, I'm convinced that there's going to be a version of this type of package around for a long time. I think it's needed in the market.
Yeah, and especially with zero now.
Yeah. So
I think Sage has brought something as well, haven't they, to the table? They've got their new Sage Simple or something.
Oh, yes, they have got something new and simple, haven't they?
Yeah. So there's a market for it, isn't there? So you're right, like simple, straightforward. And I'll say again, I've got clients who refuse to move from QuickBooks Self-Employed. In fact, I've given them a free license and a free 6 months where they can use it in parallel. they were never going to be moving. That they refused point blank to move. So, yeah, they're more than happy to stay there. So, QuickBooks Self-Employed definitely has a user base. Accountants don't like it. We've got very strong opinions on the software, but yeah, the fact that we can now, if we do have a client who's suddenly, got to that back threshold or whatever the reason's going to be.
That's the problem, though, isn't it? The only reason we don't like it is because it's a pain in the backside as soon as they need something like a bleeding balance sheet. Like, once that problem's resolved, then you can just upgrade to Simple Start or whatever you're going to upgrade to. I don't see any reason why an accountant wouldn't like it.
No, but it just got a very bad rep for itself, hasn't it? So, yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be an upgrade cycle to you to use it at the end of August, and we will report back on it next month. I'm sure we'll get someone migrated by then. Okay, how about a 360 coming from, was it 180, 360? I'll let you decide. Coming from QuickBooks then. So introducing so this is an email we got, introducing the new One Navigation menu. So at the moment, we have the opportunity to go in and we can switch between business and accounting view. And we've had a conversation. We've done probably 3 episodes on this very topic now of these new changes and what to expect and how, we appreciate them, but they're not quite for us as accountants. We like our old way. Well, apparently QuickBooks has listened to your feedback or our feedback and redesigned the left navigation menu in QuickBooks Online. Now, all customers will have the same navigation menu layout, making communication between you and your clients much easier when it comes to instructing them on how to navigate QuickBooks. So gone are the multiple ways of doing it, and there'll only be one navigation to rule them all. Now, I know the answer. I don't know if I'm allowed to know the answer, so I'm not going to say it. But which menu do you want to stay? Do you want the business menu or do you want the accountant view menu? Which one would you like? Because in this email, they don't say which one it is. They just say it's going to happen. Or at least I believe that's the case. You talk while I find out.
Surely it depends on my role. If I'm the business owner, I want the business menu. If I'm the accountant, I want the accounting menu.
Yeah, but only one will survive going forward. One left-hand navigation to rule them all.
Ultimately, it's going to be the business menu, isn't it? Because that's the one the business owner understands, and we can make do with that. But I still think it's daft that 2 different user types can't have 2 different menus.
But apparently, the confusing thing was the fact that accountants were telling their clients to do one thing, and the client was going, "Well, I don't have that button." So that's why it's changing. Why the accountant couldn't just quickly switch to business view and be in their land, I don't know.
Yeah, but these are the same accountants that got upset because there's a collapsible menu for the list.
Yes, there's probably
and
the same
someone's changed a word. We don't do well with change in the accounting industry for the majority.
That's why a lot of people like Xero, right? Because it doesn't change.
Well, it doesn't change.
No updates. So this change will then go live over 2 phases. Phase 1 will be live by the 15th of August, and all users will receive an in-product message notifying them of their new navigation menu layout. And phase 2 will be 19th of September. All users will be moved to the new navigation menu layout, and they'll no longer be able to switch back to the previous layout. Happy, not happy? Don't care.
I don't care, but I know there's a lot of accountants out there that won't be happy.
Won't be happy. Well, it depends what menu, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to go on the assumption because QuickBooks won't want the accountants thinking they've given business owners the accounting menu.
But the business owners always had the accounting menu.
I know.
The business view is the new view.
And that's why we're going to keep the business view, because it's the new view.
Because how much R&D went into this view?
Yeah. It's no issue for me. It's no skin off my back. I like the fact that you can bookmark things. I just wish if I created a bookmark, it shows for my client. That would be nice.
Wow. If it's one view, maybe that's a functionality.
Maybe. But yeah, I have no issue when people update their user interfaces to try and make things better. Yeah, we know there's enough people in our industry that do have an issue with that, though.
Yep, that is true. All right, okay, so they are the updates for. I've just realised I've been showing my screen. You haven't seen my screen, have you? So
No, we haven't been able to see your screen for about 20 minutes.
So as I've been showing you the business and the thingy view, you guys.
That's all right. To be fair, we're a podcast anyway, majority of the time, so perhaps we shouldn't be reliant on showing the screen.
Very true. Very true. All right. So business view and accountant's view. Vote in the comments. Like, which one do you want to see survive? We are very close to finding out which one will survive. 15th of September. Yeah. So we'll find out exactly. And that just around the accounting council as well. Is that a coincidence? Accounting councils the same day, roughly the same day.
Do we think it's just an oversight on the email that they didn't tell us which view we're keeping? If they've gone to the detail of telling you
themselves, and what I've been told is not true.
We'll flip the coin on the morning and see what happens.
Yeah.
Worst business decisions have been based on a flip of a coin.
Real quick updates from around the world then. So the rest of the world, so QuickBooks International, I think they call it now. Is that what they're classing it as?
Yeah, the rest of the world felt a bit second class, didn't it?
Yeah, so I think it's called QuickBooks International. Their pricing structure has been announced. The scary thing about their pricing structure is it makes sense. I completely understand why they've gone down this route, but they've followed the same pricing structure as the US, which basically means it is very, very restricted. Basically, Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, Advanced. Each one of them has a minimal number of chart of accounts you can use, minimum number of users, same as us.
Maximum, you mean, not minimum?
Maximum. Sorry, yeah, maximum number of users, maximum number of chart accounts.
So you will use 10,000 charts of accounts.
you want to be advanced, increase that chart of accounts. You've got amounts of tags that you can use, which I thought was an odd one. I didn't realize that was one of the ones that's been monitored. Maximum of classes, maximum of locations, and a sales channel. So I'm not 100% sure what or how they record that, but apparently in the US there is it's for the e-commerce side of things. So yeah, the maximum of e-commerce channels depending on what version you're on. So that's a scary thought for them, because I imagine Ireland is part of that. I'm sure we've got people in the chat who can let us know if that's the case or not. But I think Ireland's part of the rest of the international, isn't it? So
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to be caught up in this whole. I just feel it restrictive, right? I think, or is it just the fact that in the UK we've just been blessed and really lucky the fact that we get to have unlimited extra other than users? That's the only thing we really need to worry about, and then it's features on top of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like very zero type pricing. Like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you want that, you're going to pay extra. If you want that, you've got to upgrade. If you want that, you've got to pay extra for that. And you've got to pay extra per user, by the way, not just, yeah. It's not.
Prices are already higher than ours as well in America.
Yeah, it's not the pricing ethos I got on board with a QuickBooks 4, put it that way.
Yeah. I suppose the danger is that do they see that and think, actually, that's quite a nice little model to adapt in the UK? So we know with certain vendors out there who like to be a bit trigger happy with their pricing structures lately. So, maybe QuickBooks could fall down that rabbit hole. Hopefully not. I can't see them having many benefits from that at all. But if that's what the rest of the world international team's done, then yeah, there could be a potential danger that UK could follow suit. Let's hope not. And final bit of update for the ecosystem itself, Intuit MailChimp is very excited to reveal our latest addition to MailChimp's data-driven arsenal, SMS features. That's right. You can also now send SMS marketing from Intuit MailChimp. Now, I still haven't used MailChimp to its full capacity, so I don't know how easy this is going to be to put in. I imagine, though, based on what I've seen used of it before, it'll be a simple kind of feature just to turn on. I can imagine some people are quite excited about this. Well, if anything, it brings it up with now a direct competitor, Client Engager, if anything else, because Client Engager has that SMS features, doesn't it? So, are you quaking in your boots now that MailChimp gives them the option as well?
I mean, if anything, it gives us more credibility. We were there before them. Maybe I have. SMS has always been Andy's little baby of a concept, and he utilizes it extremely well in his firm.
Yeah.
For notification, request reviews, etc. And I've always been a bit skeptical of it. I think it's a bit outdated. But if MailChimp are jumping on the bandwagon, then maybe I'm the one that's outdated, and I need to review my marketing processes.
Maybe that's what we need to do. So, yeah, MailChimp now gives you the option to send customer SMS messages. And I suppose the thing is, maybe that's going to come to QuickBooks, one of the deep integrations. Maybe that's going to be a functionality we could look at later down the line. It'll definitely be a USP, wouldn't it, to be able to send you invoice by a SMS as opposed to WhatsApp, which is one of those features where that came out of the blue, and I'm not sure how that survived the tale of staying there when we lost invoice one. But no, I'm sure there must be at least 7 people out there using the WhatsApp feature. So yeah, send by WhatsApp. And there we have it. There was an update for the world of QuickBooks Online. Again, as Johann said at the beginning, small but nice little features just to improve the way that QuickBooks come in. And I'm sure there's going to be some more to come pretty soon, especially from what we know from kind of the roadmap and stuff. There's definitely some exciting things out there. What do you think then? Overall, what score would you give it if you're going to give QuickBooks a mark out of 10 for this month's updates?
8 out of 10. I think this has been a good month for lots of little tweaks, user interface tweaks, etc. Not seeing anything that's angered me or upset me. I mean, apart from that disaster of desktop app. I mean, Christ, did they have a quiet day in the office and they wanted something fun to do? I don't know, but yeah, no, I think they've done well. I'm feeling more positive about QuickBooks' updates this time than I did this time last month, when I couldn't really see any point in any of it. So yeah, no, I'm happy enough, and I'm kind of excited to see what we get next month with the Accounting Council members meeting. So yeah,
exciting times, isn't it? Yeah, I would say for me, it's a solid 8.5. It's there. It's a nice little update month. I would say, I think what this says more than anything is that we have got some bigger updates coming, and this seems like the framework's been put in there ready to go. And I think that's something for a lot of people to remember when they're getting upset about some of these updates and changing things. There's a reason for it. Most of the time, it's because something is coming. And if it's that chart of accounts update, hey, they can charge me for the chart of account update. I am more than happy to pay for that.
I used to say that about some document processing software, and they just upped the price by 58%.
Well, it could have been 60%. So
it could have been yeah.
Right then, everybody, as always, thank you very much for tuning in to this podcast. Without you, it wouldn't be what it is today. Johann, what have you got planned? Anything you want to plug for the month or anything like that? Any podcasts you're on this month? I know you've recently been on a podcast, haven't you, with Ashley Lees, etc.
Yeah. No, just as always, everybody, join us on a Monday to go to Ask the Accountant live across all your favorite social media channels, which is just growing and getting bigger and better all the time. We've got lots of new exciting announcements coming up there. And then tonight I am doing my weekly QuickBooks. No, it's not QuickBooks. My weekly Client Engager Q&A session with our community from Client Engager members, where I talk about all the latest updates for Client Engager, because I don't know where I got that idea from.
And it could be a historical event if it's the last one in your current setup. So maybe if anything, they should just be tuning in for that, just to
that's if the rain holds off.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, looking outside my window, you haven't got a chance. Again, thank you very much. We keep news out as well. We're going to be trying to freshen up QuickBooks Labs as best we can with a few new or few additional faces tuning in. So hopefully we'll get a bit more of a varied update of what the world of QuickBooks is about. And if there's anyone out there who does want to join us as we talk about this on a monthly basis, just drop us a message and we'll look to bring you involved. And that's it. That is this month's episode of QuickBooks Labs. A nice positive one, I think. I mean, that's a good to see. So. And with that, then it's just with me to say goodbye. Don't forget, everyone, if you do have any questions or anything, then drop us in the messages and comments and all that sort of stuff, and we'll make sure that we can look at it next time. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We'll figure out when our next future episode's going to be done. All right, everybody, goodbye, and we will see you all next week. Well, month.
Next month.
See you, everyone.
Goodbye.
As an accountant, I've got something to say. I'd like to introduce you to a whole new way to help small business clients. It's easy as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. QuickBooks Online. Accounting you can customize. Just sit back and relax. It works with over 300 apps. It can sync up with
Client Engager, NetTracker,
and with
Gold Cardless, get paid easily. Cresco,
you'll get paid instantly.
Smooth,
Labs tracks your
funding options.
QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online can save money and time.
QuickBooks Labs.